Good morning, students. Today we are going to deal about in science lesson number 1, laws of motion. And in this lesson, what are the learning objectives that you are going to learn? First, you must know what is force, and motion. And next, you are going to know what is inertia and its types. Then 3 laws of Newton. And based upon this, we are going to see about what is force and what is momentum and impulse. And mainly you are going to know about what is mass and what is weight and the difference between them, and the main important 5-mark question that will give under the principles of conservation of momentum. At last, you are going to study about Newton's laws of gravitation and its applications. Okay, let us go to the topic. First, what is mechanics? What is mechanics? Mechanics nothing but a study of action of force on an object. அப்படின்னா ஒரு பொருள் மீது விசை செயல்படும் போது அந்த விசையினால் ஃபோர்ஸ்னா விசை, அந்த விசையினால் ஏற்படக்கூடிய விளைவுகளை பற்றி படிக்கக்கூடிய பிசிக்ஸில் ஒரு பிரான்ச் தான் நம்ம என்ன சொல்றோம்னா மெக்கானிக்ஸ். This mechanics is divided into 2 types. One is statics and another one is dynamics. What is statics? The study of action of force on a rest object. என்ன ஆப்ஜெக்ட்? ரெஸ்ட். ஓய்வில் இருக்கக்கூடிய பொருள் மேலே ஃபோர்ஸ் ஆக்ட் பண்ணால் என்ன நடக்கும் அப்படின்னு படிக்கிறதுக்கு பேர் ஸ்டாட்டிக்ஸ்னு பேர். அப்போ டைனமிக்ஸ் மீன்ஸ் ஸ்டடி ஆஃப் ஆக்ஷன் ஆஃப் ஃபோர்ஸ் ஆன் எ மூவபிள் ஆப்ஜெக்ட். மூவ் பண்ணக்கூடிய பொருள் மேலே ஃபோர்ஸ் ஆக்ட் பண்ணும்போது என்ன நடக்கும் அப்படிங்கிறத பற்றி படிக்கிறதுக்கு பேர் டைனமிக்ஸ்னு பேர். திஸ் டைனமிக்ஸ் இஸ் ஃபர்தர் கிளாசிஃபைட் இன்டு கைனமெட்டிக்ஸ் அண்ட் another one is kinetics. These two things we are going to learn in 11th standard. But kinematics means this also study the action of force on a moving object without considering the cause of motion. இயக்கத்தால் ஏற்படக்கூடிய விளைவுகளை பற்றி படிக்கக்கூடியது பேர் kinematics. This is study with the cause of motion. This was the difference between the mechanics and its branches. Before going to know what is inertia, you must know what is rest and what is motion. What is motion? ரெஸ்ட்னா என்ன, மோஷன்னா என்ன அப்படிங்கிறது முதல்ல தெரிஞ்சுக்கிறோம். சப்போஸ் இஃப் யூ டேக் அன் ஆப்ஜெக்ட், தட் ஆப்ஜெக்ட் இஸ் அட் ஏ. நவ் யூ அப்ளை எ ஃபோர்ஸ். இஃப் திஸ் ஆப்ஜெக்ட் இஸ் டிஸ்பிளேஸ்ட் டு திஸ் பொசிஷன், நவ் யூ டெல் த ஆப்ஜெக்ட் இஸ் அண்ட் த மூவ்மெண்ட். இஃப் தெர் இஸ் நோ டிஸ்பிளேஸ்மெண்ட், that is called rest. Many scientists and many philosophers, they give their own definition on rest and motion. According to Aristotle, in nature, every object will want to be in the rest condition. He told that if you throw an object with heavier mass and another object with a lighter mass, the heavier mass will reach the ground first and the lighter mass will reach the ground later. After that, Galileo, he told that in nature, every object will continue in its own state, either in the rest condition or either in the motion condition. அப்புறம் என்ன சொல்றாங்க, இயற்கையில் எந்த ஒரு பொருளும் தான் இருக்கிற நிலையிலே தான் நீடிக்க விரும்பும். அது ரெஸ்ட்னா ரெஸ்ட்ல இருக்க விரும்பும், மோஷன்னா மூவ்மெண்ட்லேயே தொடர்ந்து இருக்கிறதுக்கு முயற்சிக்கும் அப்படின்னு சொன்னாங்க. ஸோ the property of inability to change its state of rest or of motion is explained by the term called inertia. So now we are going to learn about what is inertia. Now see the definition. The inherent property of a body to resist any change in state of rest or state of uniform motion unless it is influenced upon by an external unbalanced force. அப்படி சொல்லுவோம். என்ன அன்பேலன்ஸ்டு ஃபோர்ஸ் எது சொல்றோம் அப்படிங்கிறது முக்கியம். For any movement for an object, the balance should be an unbalanced force. If you apply a balanced force, that object cannot be able to move in its position. There is no displacement due to the action of the force. This is the main thing that you have to know in the inertia concept. Then next, see here, the inertia is depend upon the mass of the object. ஒரு இனர்ஷியாங்கிறது எதை சார்ந்திருக்கும், மாஸை சார்ந்திருக்கும்னு சொல்றோம். That means heavier object will have high inertia, lighter mass object will have the light inertia. That means if you want to move a heavier object, more amount of, that means large amount of force should be required. If you want to move a lighter object, there less amount of force should be necessary. So these are the things that you have learned from the concept inertia. Then we go to the next topic is type of inertia. There are 3 types of inertia. How many types? 3 types. One is inertia of rest, another one is inertia of motion, and another one is inertia of direction. So these are the questions that should be asked in 2 mark question or in the 5 mark question. So we are going to deal about one by one. Before going to dealing one by one, just see the picture that will give some idea about the inertia. The first picture shows a person standing in a bus. The bus is at rest condition. You think. Suppose the bus is suddenly moves. What happened? Yes, the boy or the man will move backward. Now the question should be asked, why he moved backward instead of forward? Why he moves backward? That means during the rest condition, both the bus and the person are in the rest. If the force is applied, the bus begins to move, whereas the person remains in the same state of rest condition. This inability to change its state of rest, we call it as inertia, and due to this situation, this is called inertia of rest. Inertia of rest. Next, we are going to deal inertia of motion, just opposite to inertia of rest. Here you consider this picture. So this picture shows a moving bus. What is this? A moving bus. A person is sitting in the bus. Suddenly a brake is applied. What applied? A brake is applied. What happened? If a brake is applied, he moves forward. Why he moves forward? During the movement condition, both are in the movement condition, both the bus as well as the person. If the brake is applied, the bus came to the rest condition, whereas our body wants to move in a continuous motion state, so he moves forward. And third diagram, this picture shows if the car or a bus take a sudden cut in a straight road, either in the left direction or in the right direction, left or right, where we move, நாம் எந்த பக்கம் போவோம்? Yes, we are going to the direction just opposite to the direction of the turn. That means if the driver turn in the left direction, we move in the right direction. If we take right cut, he turns in the left direction, because the bus changes its direction, whereas our body wants to move in a straight line. So these are the basic concept on the types of inertia. Now we deal one by one. Now first we are going to deal about inertia of rest. The inertia of rest, the definition, the resistance of the body to change its state of rest is called inertia of rest. See the definition. If you summarize this definition, you can be able to write the remaining 2 types of inertia. Here, what position it resists? The state of rest. The state of rest. So this is the position that the body is resistant, so that it is called inertia of rest. There are 3 figures that are given for the example. The first one already we deal, so no, don't worry. Then second thing, there is a tumbler and there is a cardboard and there is a coin. The cardboard is placed over the tumbler and the coin is placed over the cardboard. Now you apply a force by the hand. Due to the application of force, the cardboard is moved. The cardboard is moved, but the coin drops inside the glass tumbler. Why? Because the coin wants to be remains in the same state of rest condition. And this diagram, the fruits are falling from the trees. When you shoot the trees, all the fruits are not getting down. Only some fruits remains in the branch itself. That shows that they are want to stay in the rest condition. This is inertia of rest. Right. Next, after seeing these diagrams, you have known about what is inertia of motion. What is inertia of motion? Here, the resistance should be occurs to change its motion. அங்க என்ன சொல்லியிருந்தோம்? ரெஸ்ட். இங்க என்ன சொல்லியிருக்கோம் பாருங்க? motion. The resistance of the body to change state of motion is called inertia of motion. Here also three diagrams are given. The first diagram already we explained. See the third figure. An athlete who runs for a long jump. During the long jump, he runs for a certain distance and then he pushed his leg on the floor such that he make a jump. That means after running, he wants to be in the rest condition. What condition? Rest. But the body wants to be continuous in the movement condition, so he make a jump for a particular distance. This is inertia of motion. Next, inertia of direction. Here the resistance should be to the direction of the motion. So the resistance of the body to change its direction of motion is called inertia of the direction. See the definition. The resistance of the body to change its direction of motion is called inertia of direction. Here you have to change only this concept. If we put here the rest, it is called inertia of rest. If we put the motion, it is called inertia of motion. So that the definition can be easily mug up by user. Okay, so see the diagram. The diagram I already explained here, and we go to the next thing. Next we are going to deal about linear momentum. Undam அப்படினு சொல்றோம். What is momentum? If a force is acting on an object, that force will create an impact. Thus impact is studied in the form of a momentum. அதான் நம்ம என்ன பண்ண போறோம்? Momentum. How we calculate the momentum? The momentum is nothing but the product of mass and velocity. Mass and velocity. ஒரு பொருளுடைய மாஸையும் வெலாசிட்டியையும் நம்ம மல்டிப்ளை பண்ணோம்னா அது வரக்கூடியதுதான் நம்ம என்ன சொல்றோம்? லீனியர் மொமெண்டம். What is a mass? The mass is nothing but amount of matter present inside a body, which is a scalar one. Velocity, you well known about velocity, that is rate of change of displacement, which is a vector quantity. Now one more question is asked, what is linear momentum? Is a scalar quantity or vector quantity? If a scalar quantity is multiplied by a vector quantity, the obtained factor is also a vector. So this is given by the formula P is equal to mv. So momentum is a vector quantity. After studying momentum, now we are going to study about force. What is the force? I already told, if you want to displace an object or if you want to change the position of the object, we have to apply one thing, either by push or by pull. ஒரு பொருளை ஒரு இடத்துல இருந்து இன்னொரு இடத்துக்கு நம்ம நகர்த்தணும் அப்படின்னு நினைச்சோம்னா ரெண்டு வேலை செய்யறோம். ஒன்னு இழுக்கணும் அல்லது தள்ளணும். இதுதான் நம்ம என்ன சொல்ல போறோம்னா force அப்படின்னு சொல்றோம். So if you apply a force, what will be happen? There are three possibilities. One possibility, a static body, that means a body which is at rest can changes to the movement condition, or a moving body came to the rest condition. ரெஸ்ட்ல உள்ள பொருள் மூவ்மெண்ட்டுக்கு போகலாம், அல்லது மூவ்மெண்ட் இருக்கிற பொருள் என்ன இல்லை ரெஸ்ட்டுக்கு வரலாம். எதை அப்ளை பண்ணும்போது ஃபோர்ஸ் அப்ளை பண்ணும்போது. இஃப் இட் டஸ் நாட் அப்ளை த ஃபோர்ஸ், இட் ரிமைன்ஸ் இன் த சேம் ஸ்டேட். Then there may be a possibility to change the direction by the application of force. Likewise, as momentum is a vector quantity, force is also a vector quantity because it has both magnitude and a direction. Do you know what is the unit of force? This is Newton. What is the unit of force? Newton. Now we are going to deal type of forces. What are the type of forces? These forces are classified based upon the action of direction. Action of direction. So the forces are classified based on the action of direction. அப்படினா விசை செயல்படும் திசையை பொறுத்து ஃபோர்ஸை நாம கிளாசிஃபை பண்ண போறோம். எப்படி கிளாசிஃபை பண்ணிக்கிறோம்? லைக் parallel forces, unlike parallel forces. அப்ப எத்தனை டைப் ஆஃப் ஃபோர்ஸஸ் இருக்கு? There are two type of forces. Now, what is like parallel forces? See the diagram here. There is a box which is kept in a cart. A person is pull the cart and another person push the cart. See, both the push and pull are act in the same direction, isn't it? Yes, both the push and pull are act in the same direction. That type of force we call it as parallel force. There is no necessary to have both the forces are equal. May be equal or different in magnitude. Such that correct definition for parallel forces is if two or more forces of equal and unequal magnitude which is acting parallel to each other, that forces we call it as parallel forces. This is also shown in the schematically here. This is an object F1 and F2. Both the forces are acting in the same direction. அப்போ ரெண்டு ஃபோர்ஸ் ஒரே டைரக்ஷன்ல ஆக்ட் பண்ணுச்சுன்னா அது என்ன ஃபோர்ஸ் நம்ம சொல்லலாம்? லைக் parallel forces. அப்போ what is unlike parallel forces? They two forces which act in the opposite direction. What direction? Opposite direction. See the diagram here. A rope is pulled by one set of people in one direction and another set of people pulled by the opposite direction. So this force we call it as unlike forces. Here also the forces should not have equal value, may be of different value. In schematic diagram it is shown the F1 is acting in this direction and F2 is acting in the opposite direction. If two forces acting opposite each other on an object, the type of forces we call it as unlike parallel forces. Now, if more number of forces should be act, how will you find the net force? That force we called it as resultant force. That force we called it as resultant force. The definition is given. The resultant force is equal to the vector sum. What sum? The vector sum of the forces. Suppose if you take an object here, F1, a force acting here, and F2 a force, F3 a force, F4 a force, and F5 a force. If there is more number of forces, the resultant of all these forces, how many forces are here? 5 forces. All the 5 forces are replaced by a single force. That force we call it as resultant force. How will you find the value? Here it is mentioned as vector sum. What is vector sum? The direction is very, very important. In seeing this diagram, the force F1 and F2 and F3 are acting in the same direction. So I put F1 plus F2 plus F3. But the F4 and F5 are acting in the opposite direction. So I put minus F4 and minus F5. So this is the way how to find the resultant force. This should be given under the problem questions. Okay. So the resultant force nothing but an equivalent force which is equal to vector sum of the forces, more forces acting on a object. Right. See this diagram. A different type of situation should be occurs. First situation, both the forces will be a parallel forces. What is here? Parallel forces. The diagram is given here. Here F1 and F2 are acting in the same direction. What is the resultant force? F1 plus F2. F1 plus F2. Suppose F1 we have 5 Newton and F2 will have 15 Newton. What is the total force? 5 plus 15 equal to 20. How much? 20. So total force should be equal to sum of the forces when both the forces are parallel. Both the forces are parallel. Right. Suppose if these two forces are acting in the opposite direction. What direction? Opposite direction. Here F1 and F2 both are acting in the opposite direction. Here a condition should be given, F1 minus F2 and F2 minus F1. Means if two forces are acting in the opposite direction, the resultant force should be equal to difference between the two forces. Now a question is arised. Sir, if you want to subtract F2 from F1 or F1 from F2, no confusion. Out of these two forces, you have to take which force is large force. You subtract the smaller force from the large force. See here, they give F1 minus F2. What is the condition here? F1 is greater than F2. Here the F2 is greater than F1. So they put F2 minus F1. So the resultant force here is acting along which direction? The greater force direction. If F1 is greater means the resultant force should be acting along the F1 direction. If F2 is greater means the resultant force should be acting along the F2 direction. So this was the condition for opposite direction forces. Then third condition, here, see here, both the forces are opposite but of equal values. What here? Equal values. That means F1 is same value and F2 also same value. The resultant force should be equal to 0. Resultant force should be equal to 0. அப்படி என்ன அர்த்தம்? ஒரு பொருள் மேல ரெண்டு ஈக்குவல் ஃபோர்ஸ் ஆப்போசிட் டைரக்ஷன்ல ஆக்ட் பண்ணுச்சுனா there is no displacement. That means the object remains in the same condition. From this you concluded that for the movement of an object a balanced force should not be needed and unbalanced force should be needed. What is needed? For movement you need unbalanced force. What force? Unbalanced force is needed. Unbalanced force is needed for motion. This is the main thing you have to know from this picture. Then equilibrium. What is equilibrium? Right. See this condition. Now this is an object. Now a force F is applied. Initially the object is in the A position. Due to the application of force, the object moved to the position B. Okay. Now my condition is, now the object which is at B will move to the condition A. That means it moves to the initial state. So in order to move, what is needed? A force is needed. Right? Right. How much amount of force will be given? Right. Suppose if we gives a short amount of force, that means a small amount of forces, there may be a possibility that the object at B cannot move to the position A. If it gives a high amount of force, it will be passes the A. But my aim is the object should be moved from B to A to regain to its original condition. So here also I applied the force which is equal to the applied force, that is F. But the direction is opposite. The direction is opposite. So if you make an object to move to its original condition, that means equilibrium condition, a force which is equal in magnitude but opposite to the direction, that force we called it as equilibrium force. That force we called it as equilibrium force. This is the difference between resultant force and the equilibrium force. The resultant force means net force acting on the object. Equilibrium force means the amount of force which makes the object to regain to its original position, that is called equilibrium force. Right? Okay. After seeing all these concepts, now we enter into the Newton's law. Basically, Newton's law is divided into three types. How many laws? Three laws we have. First law, second law, and third law. The first law, we called it as law of inertia. The first law, we called it as law of inertia. Okay. What is the law states? Every body continuous in its state of rest or of uniform motion along a straight line unless it is acted by an external force. This is the Newton first law. That means ஒரு பொருள் ரெஸ்ட்ல இருக்கிற பொருள் ரெஸ்ட்ல தான் இருக்கும், மூவ்மெண்ட்ல இருக்கிற பொருள் மூவ்மெண்ட்ல தான் இருக்கும். எது வரைக்கும் அப்படின்னு பார்த்தோம்னா ஒரு ஃபோர்ஸ் அப்ளை பண்ற வரைக்கும். So this is Newton first law. Okay, right. Based upon the first law, we have deal about two concepts, either force and inertia. So this is called Newton first law. Right. Now let us go to the evaluation part. Choose the correct answer. I will give simple questions. First question: inertia of body depends on what? During the dealing of inertia concept, I told that the inertia of the body depends on mass of the object. What is mass of the object? Then fill in the blanks. To produce a displacement, dash is required. What type of force is required? Yes, yeah, unbalanced force. What is required? Yeah, unbalanced force is required. Right. Second question: the passenger lean forward when sudden brake is applied in a moving vehicle. This can be explained by what? Inertia. Generally inertia. Specifically, what type of inertia? Inertia of motion. Inertia of motion. This is the answer for this. Right? The short questions. Define inertia and give its classification, and classify the type of force based on their application. And third concept, if 5 Newton and 50 Newton of force are acting opposite to one another, find the resultant force and direction of the resultant force. Right? So now we are going to build the problem. Okay? Right. To consider an object here. A 5 Newton force acting on this direction and 15 Newton force acting on this direction. That this force I take it as F1 and this force I take it as F2. Both the forces are acting in the opposite direction. So the resultant force F should be equal to greater force F2 minus smaller force F1. That means 15 Newton minus 5 Newton. That should be equal to 10 Newton. So the resultant force should be equal to 10 Newton. Right. What is the direction of this resultant force? In general, if two forces are acting in the opposite direction, the displacement should be in the higher force direction. So the direction is along the force F2. So this is the answer for this problem. Okay, students, I think you are well understand about all these concepts today by this class. Thank you. See you next class.